So this is the main screen that it will go to. Now in this screen, what it does is it goes through and it does like a check on the system first, to make sure all the sensors are connected. That's under monitoring platform. So we can get back into it after, but when the thing starts up, it goes through its diagnostics and it checks to make sure that these sensors are all present. All right, green tick is good. If it doesn't work, it'll come up with a red cross and it will tell you that there's an issue. So this happens when the system boots. I can't show you that because I'll lose my connection, that's all. But that's what happens. Alright. So, the way that this system works is it's all driven from, as far as the actual operation of the system, it's all driven from these 4 buttons. So we could start off by going through some of these menus. So operation mode. This would be good if so depth and slope is exactly that. So you can basically, without having a design, say you wanted to do like a shed pad or something, you can just put in some grades. Show you how this works. Can you grab me a charger again, Jay? Yeah, so at the moment it's just showing us a couple of views there. So on the map, at the moment, it's showing us our map in relation to the machine body. There's also a little icon down the bottom right, which is like a compass. If we press that, it'll change the orientation to north, and now we can see which way the machine's facing. It's facing south, southeast at the moment. Yep. Alright, so we'll go through these bottom menus first. So home takes you back out to where we were before. This bucket symbol here will change which edge of the bucket your measurement is in relation to. Yeah, the way we've got this view set up, it's showing you elevations on the, if you look up the top there, you've got your left, middle and right tip of your bucket. So it's always showing you that, but if you were navigating to like a line or something, trying to dig out a drain, the top right icon where it says 12.89, that's your offset off an alignment. It would become more important then to say which side of the bucket you want to use. Everything's to the nearest centimetre the way we've got it set up. At the moment, we don't have a real design in here, but what we can do is we could set our height, zeroed to the wherever the bucket is right now, which is called benching. So and there's a picture of a bucket there with a 0, 0. So we've done that now. Now all our cut fill values are 0 to a centimetre. All right. That would be one of your first ports of call. Your next thing is the next symbol across is to put in your grade. All right. So we can put a slope in percent, and say we put in a 5% grade. See, it's showing you which way it is as well. Yeah. If we hit plus minus, it'll reverse that, and we could have a grade like this. And then now what we can do is we could have a grade now going in the other direction, and we could put 5% as well. And I actually want it to go the other way, so I hit plus minus. Yeah, and we'll go okay. Cool. So now I could just start digging off that, and it's basically based off that first point I touched down on where that plane is sort of sitting, that design. So anywhere I move now though, it'll know its heading, rotation and everything, so you can just track around anywhere and dig, and eventually you'll end up with something with a 5% slope going in one direction and 5% in the other direction. So that's a really nice, easy tool for people to use. Yeah, like you can just keep going. It doesn't only work when you're in the one position. You can track around everywhere now because it's using GPS. That would be something that'd be really handy if you just had like an area you needed to level for a shed or something, or even if you were digging a pipe, maybe you might just not have the crossfall. So you might turn your crossfall off and just have your longitudinal slope. Yeah. Something else I'll show you too. At the moment, that's in percent, and I don't think to an operator that necessarily would mean a lot, depending on the operator, I guess. But you can also change the way that the units work. Where is that? It's not in here. It's out in the main menu. I'll show you. Because you usually set it up one way and then leave it that way. And in here, you can change your slope angles and bits and pieces. So we could change this from degrees to a percentage would be better. And or you can have a ratio, like if it was 1 in 100, you could type in 1 in 100. But it could be handy too, depending on, they might get given plans from somebody and they're in a ratio instead. Ron? Cool. All right. Yeah, so we're talking a little bit about the depth and slope side. So we obviously, I think you guys get the gist of that. So we can put in a grade and we can basically start digging. The other thing I didn't explain about that is when you're in there. So we go start. When I hit 0 before, what it did, it sets your reference direction to the excavator boom. So that's what's setting your direction. Like, if you're using a dual grade laser, you'd usually have like a little telescope that goes on the top if you're doing a long line. You'd set your X and your Y axis. That's what happens with this when you hit 0. Whichever way the machine's facing, that's going to be your X direction and your Y direction, and they're going to be set by that. And then, you just keep going for it after that. It's all pretty straightforward. If we want to record a point, all right, so we might want an as-built point so that we can do some kind of plan later. So we can go into record points, we can go add. Okay, and we can give it a name. So it could be whatever, drain or whatever, or invert, whatever the operator wants. Invert, and then we can hide our keyboard, and we can go collect, and now it's got those coordinates there, so that can be saved then as a point for later. So that's pretty handy. Like if you were doing like a lot of deep trenching and you needed to record the invert of the trench, this is how you would do it. You don't have to get a surveyor there to take the measurements. It's not, he doesn't have to get anywhere near the trench, so it's pretty handy being able to do that. You all right? All right. So the next option across are your view settings. So if we go to our view settings here, we might not want to have all 3 windows. We can reconfigure the view. So instead of having 3 views, we might just want to have 2 views. And then we can choose what we want in there. So we might just want the front and the side, but for it to be bigger. So if we apply that, now we just see that on our screen. It's nice and big and whatever. So, and then we can go back in again and configure it in the view management. And we can might go back to 3 views again. And we might change view 3, instead of being top down, we might make it a 3D view. So it can be handy if you've got like a good model in there or something, it's a little bit more complex. So now we can see the machine in 3D, like a 3D view, and we can drag it around just with your finger. You put your finger on the screen, you can move around and see it from different angles. So yeah, some operators like to have that. I would prefer just to see the front and the side really big. So that's the general gist of the view options. You can change your map display as well. So in here we can say, we want to see what we want to see. So recorded point, we can say we want to see an icon in the text. We can say we don't want to see any of the recorded points because they might get in the way and clutter what we're working on. So I might turn them off. And the excavator display, we can have it as a machine, or we can have it that we just see the bucket. And we don't see any machine, we just see a bucket position. Because then the machine's not getting in the way of the drawing in the background, so people might like to have it that way as well. put it back to that by default. Tolerances. So in here, because the sounds change depending on how far off the model you are. So you can tweak that a little bit, you know, and you can change your tolerances. Like if you only care about when you're within half a meter, you can change the band of this basically. So you can say, you know, yeah, we've got our under excavation goes through to 0.5. You know, over excavation is if we've gone 0.5 too deep. We can set how the beeper works as well, so we can have it continuously beeping, or we can have it just like a pulsed kind of beep. And yeah, the operator gets used to the noise to know whether he's high or low as well. But basically that's just setting up your light bar. So, and those light bars are what you see on this main screen on the left and the right side. So if you were to move that bucket up and down, you'd be able to see whether you were over or under excavated as well. Yep. So they're just like a light bar, like a laser, that you'd be used to. That's everything in there really that I think you need to know about. The next thing are your bucket, what they call bucket information. So you guys have got multiple machines loaded in here, and multiple buckets. So this is your GP bucket that you've got at the moment for QAN 175. So you could have that drop down and you could go QAN 175 mud. And go back. And now our mud bucket is selected, so you can always see which bucket you've got selected in this main screen. Yep. So yeah, that's really all that you do in the bucket menu. You can change between different types of buckets. It's not very hard to add a bucket. You will need a plumb bob though, or a bit of string line with a nut on it or something, so you can plumb the bucket. But I'll show you that. Have a quick look in this monitoring platform. So yeah, in here is where we see our diagnostics. So if we had a problem, I'd look in here straight away and see if anything's not green. The other thing to look for in here in scene information is just the status of the GPS. So we want it to be RTK fixed. So if I can get to that button somehow, my viewer's in the way. There we go. So see in here over on the right hand side, it's got the RTK status, that's the GPS, and we're always looking for that to be a fixed solution. That means everything is going well, right? It will come up with a warning if it's not fixed. So yeah, you can see his coordinates of his bucket in here. They're probably the only two things that you'd care about, are the coordinates of your bucket and the RTK status. So the next thing that we're going to have a look at is the coordinate system. So we've got machines going between jobs. There's going to be different coordinate systems. So where you guys are, and the operators might know some of this, but we'll help you if there's any confusion. You'll usually be using this coordinate system here that's ticked. That's quite common in your area, like where you are. So the operator, if the job is on this coordinate system, should be able to just start digging. But there's two scenarios. One is that you run off a set coordinate system, this is the current coordinate system for Australia. So sometimes they'll be able to just load this and off they go. Other times there'll be a calibration, and the surveyors will have a calibration file they've got to give us. And I'll show you how that works. Because what happens is the site calibration is imported. So we'll go into a site calibration and we'll download some points off a USB stick from the surveyor. And any surveyor can make that file, it's not complicated. We import the points in and we save it. And what it's doing is just matching up where the GPS thinks it is versus what the control marks might be on site. and then we can go into calculate, and then it will tell us our accuracy of how good that calibration is. I close it, and then they're done. We want to save it. I'm sorry, to save it again. Save. Save it and we apply it, but this will be in a video that you can share with the surveyors as well. Like your customers can give it to the surveyor will know what they need to do. It's pretty straightforward.
We have this video and hard drive.
Yep. Yeah, so I'm going to go through the whole thing now so that there's a sample in the video. So we're going to make a new coordinate system. I'm going to go create. I'm going to go custom. Okay, and we're going to give it a name. Okay, so we make our coordinate system here. Save that. Now we go to our site calibration. And we're going to import our text file. The text file looks like this. Yep, so it's a simple little text file with some coordinates. So latitude, longitude, ellipsoid height, northing, easting, and elevation. So any surveyor will be able to make that. Alright, so they'll make that text file and they'll plug the USB stick into the T2 port on top of the unit. Brian can show you what that looks like. And this is what will come up. They'll go import and then they'll see what's on the USB stick. Import the points, go save, calculate. So there's our residuals, so they're good. And then we can go save again, go to our coordinate system, and then go save. So yeah, once that's done, those guys then they're ready to work on site. And that text file can be taken from any of the Trimble, Topcon or Leica setups. They can all be read as coordinates like that. So it shows you your current coordinate system in that screen. We can't use that one because it's somewhere in Victoria. We'll use this guy here. Alright, so that's how we get a coordinate system set. That's probably one of the main things that your customers will need to know. The other thing they'll need to know is how to bring in a design file. So we have a platform and I'll send you the login details for it. It's just a very simple web page basically where we can upload design files. Where's something to put on there? That'll do. So once I've put these on here, they'll become available on the machines. So you can get their design files and just upload them to here, and then when they go into their machine and they select design files, they'll be able to select the drop down and they'll be able to go add, and they can say from network because now it exists in the internet. It's on the server. this one up here is the one I just put on there. And once that's finished downloading, it'll become available here. This bit's pretty easy for, as far as like from working with other systems. This is much easier. Yeah, so this is in a simulator mode, so it's just showing the excavator constantly digging, but this is what the operator will see on his screen. He'll have a design with some line work, and if there was a surface, it'd show a 3D surface in here as well. So that's generally what they would see.